Hello. Today we're going to see what is meant by the supporting sections of the dissertation as a part of still with the process of still with the way of organizing or writing your dissertation. We've already said that a dissertation, whether a thesis or your research paper with a dissertation or a thesis, has 3 sections. We have talked about preliminary sections, we have talked about middle sections or body of the work. Now, supporting sections. We have seen what is meant by preliminary. Why they are called preliminary. Preliminary because it is not when you start officially researching your paper or discussing your paper. Preliminary section just provide an overview of your research, the title, the researcher, and so on. However, the supporting sections of the dissertation include also some information about your research paper. Why they are called supporting? Because they support. They are supplementary materials that are found at the end of your research paper. These materials, within these materials, some are compulsory and some are optional. Compulsory means they must be present in every research paper, whether dissertation or thesis, whether BA dissertation, whether MA dissertation, and so on. And some are optional. We may find them and we may not find them. The materials that are optional, if they are not present, they're not going to disturb. They're not going to disturb, let's say, the writing process of your research paper. If they are present, it's okay. If they are not present, it's also okay. All right. As I've already said, we have some compulsory and optional materials. I'm going to start with the supporting sections of your dissertation include your bibliography, appendices, and glossary. As I said, out of these 3, some are compulsory and some are optional. I'm going to start with the compulsory material or item. Alright. The bibliography of your research paper includes a list of all the materials that you have consulted and that you have consulted in order to write basically your research paper. These materials are books, magazines, encyclopedias, websites, videos, and so on. Alright, our bibliography is organized according to the formatting styles that we use. Formatting styles that we use in writing writing. So we have MLA and we have APA. In case we use in MLA, the list of bibliography is labeled works cited list. In case using APA, it is list of references. As I said, it is a complete list of the references of the works that we have consulted in our research paper. A good bibliography, of course, a good bibliography must be well structured, must be well organized. So in order to have a good bibliography or list of references, we should take into account the following items. Our bibliography always indicate, when we have a list of books, magazines, journals, and so on, this indicates that we have really consulted other works, and we have books, or we have used their arguments, their ideas, their points of views, and we are aware of the debate. I mean, in our Bible. In our Bible, we are going to, we will be criticized for using these ideas and not other ideas, so we have to be aware of this debate. A good bibliography always add weight and credibility to our research paper and our statements. It also enables the others to check how our information are accurate. It also indicates that we acknowledge the others. We have acknowledged the others' works and ideas, and also it indicates that we are familiar with the formatting rules and the conventions of writing a research paper or formatting a bibliography. So how to format a bibliography? All right. First of all, we have to take into account that we have a variety of styles used for formatting a research paper. So our bibliography must be organized or formatted according to MLA style, MLA, APA, or Chicago Manual style. All right. When writing the bibliography, we have to take into account that all the sources, all the materials, and all the sources must be arranged alphabetically. A precedes B, B precedes C, C precedes D, and so on. It is formatted with a hinged indent. It means that if one entry runs to more than one line, sometimes one line is not enough to write, to mention all the information about the source. So sometimes 2 or 3 lines are used. So it is the first line, it is the second and the third lines which must be indented with ½ an inch. It is double spaced. The titles of books, encyclopedias, and websites and newspapers, and magazines, and journals must be italicized, and the titles of articles taken from encyclopedias, magazines, or newspapers, or websites must be inserted within quotation marks. Also, what is familiar in MLA is you have to include the medium of publication. If it is published book, if it is a series, if it is a movie, if it is a PDF, if it is a Word document, and so on, if it is a website. So all these must be included as all right. You need to include, when you write each entry, you need to identify the who, I mean the author's last name and his first name, the what, the documents, book title, encyclopedia title, where was it published, when was it published, and the medium, in case you are using MLA. All right. Now we're going to see another supporting material. Another material that is used that is always found in the supporting section. All right, it is optional. It is optional. It is very optional. No need. No need, but it is. You're not obliged. You're not obliged to include an appendix. So what is meant by an appendix? An appendix is somehow a material which contains information, and this information As I've already said, some of the guidelines to write a good and appropriate glossary, you have to take into account to alphabetize A, B, C, D, and so on. You have to capitalize only the first letter of the word. If you have acronyms and abbreviations, before you define, in parentheses you have to indicate what does the acronym or the abbreviation stand for. As an example, CTU. In parentheses, what does it mean? Counter-terrorism unit. Before defining NSA, in parentheses, what does it stand for? National Security Agency. Alright? As I've already said, do not restate the term in the definition, like Armenianism, Armenianism is, or Armenianism was. Try to use the present simple instead, not perfect or past tense. Try to keep your definitions when you define your definitions in the glossary. Try to keep them short. No more than 4. A paragraph consisting of no more than 3 or 4 sentences long. Also, it is preferable to define nouns instead of verbs. Instead of verbs or adjectives. So if you have a verb, as a concept to define, try to let's say make it in. Try to have the noun form of the verb. For example, if you have allocate as a term being used in such field, you have to define. You have to define allocation, which is from which the verb allocate is derived. Okay, that's all for today. Thank you. Next time we're gonna see. I'll see you in another lecture entitled "The Guidelines of Formatting a Research Paper." Bye. Okay. The appendix is a supplementary material which is found at the back of your research paper as a supporting element, but it contains information contains information which are less important to the reader. All right. An appendix or appendices, if are used when, for example, you have a speech in your research paper. You want to include a speech, a very, very long speech of a minister or of the president, and you feel that if inserted in the data chapters, I mean in chapter 1 or chapter 2 or 3 or 4, it's going to disturb the flow of ideas. It means the reader was, let's say, concentrating with one idea, and when he reads the very long speech introduced or inserted by you, it's gonna be a very, very, yes, he will lose. He will lose, or he will feel a little tired or bored. He's not gonna really carry on reading your research paper. So, if it disturbs the reader, if it disturbs the flow of ideas, all right, no problem. You just indicate in a footnote that if you want to read, to know more about the speech of the president, go to Appendix 1. Without disturbing the reader, without disturbing the flow of ideas, the logical flow of ideas in your research paper. Alright, they are, when writing an appendix, they are listed separately. I mean, Appendix 1 is a loan containing a material or an information. Appendix 2, Appendix 3, and so on. They are, as I said, they are used to support the text. How to write an appendix? All right. The heading should be appendix or appendix. I mean, all capitalized, all the letters are capitalized, or only the first letter, capital A, the first letter A, which is capitalized. It should be centered and bold. Each appendix must begin on a new page, as I said. Each appendix stands separate. Each appendix is separate from the others. They always follow the list of references, and sometimes they precede the list of references. All right, this is an example of an appendix. Next one. And then do not forget to include the source. Where did you get this information or this appendix in the appendix? Another optional material that is used in your that can be found or that is part of the supporting sections is the glossary. A glossary is a list of alphabetized terms with their meanings. A glossary is used sometimes when a research paper is done in some fields which are unfamiliar to the reader or to your reader. For example, if you write a research paper in ICT, a research paper in political science, you're going to work with many political terms or many technical concepts in ICT, like whiteboard, like blended learning, and so on. So these are unfamiliar to your readership or to your readers. So you need to include a glossary of most of the terms that you have used in your research paper. Historically, the word glossary is derived from the Latin word glossa, which means foreign word, which means foreign words. Sometimes students believe that it is very easy. It is very easy to write a glossary, but it is very somehow difficult to write a glossary. Why? Because they rely on internet in order to bring definitions of the concepts that they want to write about. But sometimes internet give less important information, or sometimes internet gives the wrong information or the wrong definition of the terms, or the term where we need to write about. All right, this is an example. Let's go back. This is an example of a glossary. You see the problem. The first problem is glossary of religious terms. If you have terms dealing with politics, with religion, with social sciences, do not. It looks like dividing the glossary according to making separate glossaries. As we practice the fact of writing appendices, Appendix 1, which is separate from 2? No. We have terms that must be put in one glossary. So, there should be one glossary for all the terms, whether in politics, in religion, in life, all. In one glossary. So, avoid categorizing the glossaries. One for politics, the other one for military, the other one for religion, and so on. Also, the word or the term which is to be defined in the glossary should never be centered and there should never be all capitalized. We just capitalize only the first letter. And then there is a problem. There is a problem in this example. We see Armenianism. We have Armenianism. And then when defining in the paragraph, the term is repeated again. Do not practice writing glossaries in this way. It means Armenianism was. No, we use the present simple without repeating the term or the concept. And then avoid another way of writing the glossary. Calvinism. The term is. No. Calvinism is. Armenianism is. Counter-Reformation is directly. Alright? So how to write glossaries? As I said, do not copy and paste from internet. What you should do is you collect definitions from every from the sources available to you and try to rewrite them. Try to rewrite them on your own. Alright? Try to rewrite them on your own. Alright, there's some of the guidelines in order to write a glossary. All the terms, the concept or the keywords must be arranged in alphabetical order. A precedes B, B precedes C, and so on. If you have, you capitalize only the first word.